Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Ladies of Sosa podcast. My name is Sahra.
And my name is Christine.
Today, we are going to be discussing some current events that have occurred here in the South Sudanese diaspora in America, specifically, and also back home. So we just wanted to highlight the gun violence that has unfortunately plagued a lot of people here in the South Sudanese diaspora, and also the tribal tensions that resparked back home in South Sudan. And, just cover all of those bases so that we can show our solidarity with the community either back home or here in diaspora.
Right. And we do want to honor the families of those who have lost their lives, as well as help to promote their GoFundMes. So please, if you do have it in your heart to be able to donate, at the end of this episode, we will have their GoFundMes linked at the bottom in the description box. And we do want to support the families in any way that we can, because we have lost a few South Sudanese people here in the diaspora. I know there's things going on back home, but we've had a lot of tragedies recently. So
yes, back to back.
Yeah.
So we're going to go ahead and start with let's go ahead and introduce our panel first. And we're going to start with Vaida.
Hi, everyone. It's Vaida.
And then we're going to go ahead and pan over to KK.
Assalamu alaikum, ya jamana.
All right. And so in South Sudan recently, tribal tensions have resparked, but we do know that there has been a lot of a political uproar that's happened. Our vice president recently just got arrested, or he's been
house arrest.
He's been put on house arrest. There have been children that have been murdered due to this back and forth between tribes. And a lot
of back and forth on social media as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of reminiscent of what happened back in 2013 when there was tribal tensions between the Dinka and the Nuer. And it just seems like we just cannot get away from tribal issues. We just cannot get away from tribalism. So where do you guys want to start with that?
I guess, how are we processing the current political tensions in South Sudan? And why is it important to separate the people from the government? Personally, I'm not as familiar with all of the intricacies of what's going on, but it just seems to be a repeating pattern. And honestly, it's disheartening and discouraging for us in diaspora to see what's happening, and also all of the discourse online. I know you said something about some of the things that people have been saying kind of is a little bit tribalistic.
Yeah.
But of course, when people lose their lives, I feel like people react sometimes in a tribalistic manner. But it's just I think never ending.
It is. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating because it's like you think that you reached a point where South Sudan is going to grow and we're going to reach we're going to evolve, and now we can focus on improving the government, the social life, but it's just we always revert back to another tribal issue,
right?
And peace and stability. But I mean, I think it's super important to separate the people from the government, especially tribes. Me being from both Dinka and the Nuer tribe, it's a lot easier for me to do that because I'm from both.
Right.
But I can understand how it's difficult for other tribes if you're just fully Dinka or you're fully Nuer and you see that Dinka children were murdered or Nuer children were murdered back home. It's really difficult to not lash out on Dinka people or Nuer people. I can understand how difficult that can be. But we have to understand that there's people that are benefiting from us fighting. And those are the higher ups. Those are the people in power. And when we're fighting and we're losing our lives and we're bickering amongst each other, they're still enriching themselves. They're able to run to Kenya or Uganda or, anywhere and outside of in the diaspora to, seek safety.
Right.
We're not able to do that. We have to, when we are refugees or we're displaced, we live in poor conditions. We're really poor conditions. We don't have the same privileges that they do. And they're the ones that are orchestrating all of this. And I think that's why it's really important for us to not lash out on each other. Even though that's the easiest thing to do is to blame this tribe and that tribe.
Mm-hmm.
But these politicians don't care about tribe at all.
Yeah, I think ultimately the citizens are the ones that suffer. So it's all of this political instability and fighting and the president and vice president and all these things. But the people are the ones that are suffering with not being able to afford food and
Yeah.
just living in a country to where the focus is constantly on like whatever political parties are fighting each other. We can't even get to the point where we're building up the country. We can't even get to the point where we're talking about infrastructure or like agriculture or anything like that because they're fighting for power.
Yeah.
So
and I think with tribalism, like dividing the people, it's like a divide and conquer tactic, because obviously there is an issue with tribalism. Naturally,
Right.
like we do have people are tribalistic naturally in South Sudan, but they use those already existing tensions to spark tensions, and then they could take advantage of, you know, resources when there's chaos. And so I think we have to, you know, just see the play for what it is, and not play into what they want us to play into. And that's really important for us to see each other as humans, as people who are victims, all of us, whether you're
Right.
Nuer or Dinka, victims of these politicians, and not letting them use us as pawns to fight each other.
I think having one common identity as being South Sudanese
Yes.
is important, because when you focus on tribes and tribalism, we're never going to come together and say, hey, we're all South Sudanese people.
Never.
And we the people demand change. I feel like, like you said, divide and conquer. When you're divided along tribal lines, you don't see the bigger picture, like you said, of like, hey, we're all suffering and they're benefiting from it. I think that that's why tribalism is so like poisonous and toxic to the growth of the country, is because it divides us when we're all like suffering the same fate. And we really should unite as a people and get after the people who are causing it. But because we're fighting amongst each other regarding tribal lines and stuff, they're able to steal all of the wealth
Manipulate.
and resources from the country
While we're fighting.
Exactly. And we're worried about tribalism
Yeah.
where like no one's eating, no one like no
Yes.
one's doing well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
KK, do you want to touch on anything?
I just think that we, as people of South Sudan, really need to understand, if we want to be the Democratic Republic of South Sudan, our politicians ain't did nothing for us. Like, there's just been 13 years and we're still where we're at. Nothing's changed between when we got our independence till now, and it's nothing's changed in between that point until now. And it's more of like, we really have to realize the people that we chose to, well, we didn't even choose these people, but the people that are in power, we do need to get them out because they're not benefiting us in any given way. I think we do need a new generation of people that are qualified and have experience of operating. So I'm a capitalist, and I look at running a country is just like running a business. And if you are in a net loss and not a net profit at some point over your stretch, you're not doing very well at it. And we have not done anything positive on our end or got into a better situation from when we started. So we need to find someone that can come in and make our country better than what it is. If we got to give resources out and try to get partnerships with other countries and allyships, whatever it is, for us to build a better structural foundation for our people, where we have guaranteed clean water everywhere, where we have running water in every home.
Right.
And we have just not city power. We have power given to any citizen that there is, especially if we could open like a solar plant. But it's more, I'm thinking bigger pictures. But with the issue going on in Nasser, it's the casualties of innocent men, women, children dying at the hands of two people playing their agendas against each other. It's disgusting, and I'm not a fan of it. I wish that if they're wanting to go at it, South Sudan is a big enough country. There's thousands of acres out in the middle of nowhere. You guys could really line up your armies in a straight line and go at it like the old times. Whoever comes out with the most people alive, that's who.
Just don't make the civilians.
Don't use
in the
innocent people.
center. Yeah.
And now people are being displaced after being displaced for so many years. And now people get some type of stability where they're at. And now, hey, we have to get up and get running and figure it out again. You leave your belongings behind. You leave whatever you built behind just because you try to save your life before anything else. So if you had a business, what business? You had a home. What home?
Yeah. And it deters us as the diaspora from wanting to go back home. And it just, it really just like discourages us.
It's
discourages
very
us.
discouraging.
Yeah, because if we keep like you take 10 steps forward and then take 15 steps backwards, why would I want to go take my family to live back home? When it's just there's so much uncertainty.
Or even visit. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like Like, I wanted to go back home. I was like 2025.
Yeah.
But like, even this, like, hearing about all the conflict going on, it's very like difficult because you're just like, oh, I want to visit back home for the first time, but I don't want to do it at the expense of my life, or like, like you don't want to experience, or witness, some of those things. So I just really, it's unfortunate how within Africa, within South Sudan specifically, corrupt leadership creates refugee crises to this day, where people can't stay home. People can't even visit home because of the instability and the constant fear. So it's
I
really
agree.
sad.
I feel the same. Like, I did have hopes of visiting in the past, but I feel like that is pushed all the way back to my list of priorities right now, just based on like what's happening. And I feel like it's very discouraging for us in diaspora who did have hopes of one day being able to maybe go back home and do something or start something. It's like, well, there's instability. So for us, we're not going to leave wherever we're at to go back home when like the people there are suffering.
Yeah.
So what am I going there to do? To like stay in a nice hotel and like enjoy the luxuries of me being, like what am I? We've had hope for so long, and I just feel like the leadership keeps letting us down. And it's not just the people there that live there. Obviously, they're the ones that are suffering because they're living under that government. But those of us who have built our lives outside of the country and hope to one day like participate, it's like there's no way for us. Like, why would we? You know?
And it's really sad because it's like it's the people who are already living below the poverty line that are really, really experiencing the effects of war. And it's like continuous, and they're already struggling in their day to day, and now with the political instability, and then now they're probably going to have to be displaced and be in a refugee camp when all they want to do is like live a normal life,
right?
I think,
and go ahead.
I look at it. This is with the conflict going on in Sudan itself. This is the first time in our history where we're taking in refugees.
True.
And people are being sent to us for better situations. And now we're causing havoc in our own backyards. Like, how much aid is going to be necessary within our own country? Like, how do you give aid to the people of the country and also bring people in? And that's the challenges that's going on right now. Like, I really think that it's inconvenient to the people of South Sudan, especially when stuff like this goes on, because it makes everything else more difficult for the people there. Inflation is going to kick up even higher because it's going to be a little bit harder to get things in.
Yeah.
And now the cost of goods is going to go up. You can't go and get a little bag of rice for 5,000 pounds no more. It might go up to 10 and you can't even afford that.
Yeah.
So it's.
Yeah. And what KK saying, just for the audience, we are experiencing our own like wave of displaced peoples because of the war that's happening in northern Sudan. So a lot of people from North Sudan are also coming to South Sudan. I don't know if they probably will come now.
Around,
yeah,
honestly.
it's just everything is just a mess right now, and unfortunately, the people back home are the ones who are suffering the repercussions of our leaders and what they're not doing for the people. Because I feel like all of these things can all be resolved by good leadership, and I think that's just what's going to take for South Sudan to have hope again. Is for us to be able to like literally live in a democratic country where we can choose our leaders. Like, we need to stop pushing back elections. I know they keep saying, well, the country's unstable, so we can't have elections in an unstable, with the unstable
it's unstable
country.
because they're making it
They're going to keep it unstable.
Yeah,
right,
to keep pushing back
off of the instability because that's how they hold on to power.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's what people need to like realize the play so that you don't play into their hands.
It's a cycle that just will continue unless something changes. Like, we've had these leaders in power. We've had actually more people have come into power, more vice presidents, more leadership.
How many vice presidents?
What has really been done? So like, I think, and so we need to stop playing democracy and like actually attain it, because that's what we're doing. We're playing it. But if there hasn't been an election since the beginning of the country, it's not democracy.
Is it democracy if they keep pushing
It's
back
dictatorship.
elections? Exactly. That's what I was thinking.
An oligarchy, really.
It's not democracy if you keep finding reasons to postpone elections to where you stay in power for indefinitely. So
yeah, I mean, at the first pushback, I was like, okay. The second one, I was like, and then
we
like
see
it's like the
play,
third
though.
or fourth. It's like
the
okay.
play is so clear. It's
as old
as time, like especially in Africa. So I feel like for us in diaspora, we have the luxury of speaking out and like calling out for what it is, but maybe
Yeah.
back home they can't do that.
Right.
But
right.
yeah,
Facts. Because even we walk on eggshells sometimes talking about the government or like political issues because we're like we want to go home one day, but it's like we shouldn't even have
at this
that
point,
worry.
it's ridiculous,
Yeah.
and I feel like it's embarrassing us on the world stage, and the world doesn't care even about what's going on in Sudan. There's certain countries where it's like if you don't help yourself, no one's going to care about what's happening to you. So I just feel like at this point, we've been separated since 2011. We have nothing to show for it.
Hello?
And it's embarrassing and we're sick of it.
Yeah.
And it's a dictatorship, like what KK said,
Yeah.
because you can't keep pushing elections back and saying that like the people have no voice. There's no representation.
No, I agree.
So
How-
let's shift gears. Oh,
Yeah.
go ahead.
I wanted to ask, like, how do we push the tribalism conversation forward? Because the discourse right now is very like pointing fingers at different tribes, specifically the Dinka and the Nuer tribes, and both of them like bickering amongst themselves. How do we push the conversation forward so that we can have more healthy discourse as opposed to fighting amongst each other, and then behind the scenes the government is like able to extract more, steal more from our own country?
I think the disconnect between Dinka and Nuer, it affects the Western societies even more because we're looking from the outside in. We only get what's given to us, and then we put our own analogies to it, and we make our stances upon it. Where back home, they got to live with each other no matter what. I'm sorry, like there's not a way of separating each other. At some point, we all have to work together.
No,
so
but
back home,
they kill each other back home.
And it's these rebel groups and these militia groups that are killing, and then they're doing it in the name of this other group. It's not like a Nuer person walks down the streets of a neighborhood in Juba and he gets attacked. No,
for sure. But don't you think that a lot of like young people a lot of people are now joining the military because there's no jobs, there's no opportunities, so now like they're.
You think you're going to get paid in the military of South Sudan?
That part.
Yeah,
they just signed an amendment.
Uganda. Mm-hmm.
They just signed an amendment last week stating that, I think it was Bo Mill who signed it, and he signed the amendment of saying the soldiers are going to get paid in a timely manner.
Yeah, I saw that.
When I was home, soldiers, they were 260 days without payment. Imagine going 6, 7 months, 8 months, nothing coming in, and every single day you outside putting your life on the line.
Right.
And
Yeah.
Salva Kiir actually contracted Ugandan troops in
Yeah,
South Sudan. So
you
he's
saw
basically
that?
paying Ugandan
Another
troops
country to come
to
defend
kill our citizens.
Yeah,
Like,
or whatever.
it's insane. Wow,
Yeah.
but meanwhile, South Sudanese
It's
soldiers
just a
aren't
joke,
paid.
honestly, at this point.
I think it's just us in the West. We really have to understand that we have the educate. I'm not saying they're not educated. But we have the
Privilege.
privilege of understanding that we could find resources and find ways of uniting outside of everything that's going on. We could reconcile the differences and try to make the country better.
Yeah.
And I think the way we move forward is us coming together and really sitting down, having conversations, and talking about the elephant in the room. Number one, why we're killing each other, and figure out what's everyone's stances upon it. But also, secondly, we have to understand how can we go forward for the betterment of our country.
Yeah.
Because if we can't go forward, then what do we do?
Right. I want to read a post that Nyamoch wrote on her Instagram page. Nyamoch is someone that we've had on our show before we were in the studio and like fancy and everything. But we did a remote interview with her. She's a model, and she has a company that called Principal Thing, where she helps South Sudanese and Black models navigate the industry. But she wrote this in regards to the conflict in South Sudan, which I wanted to read because I thought it was really unifying. She said, "South Sudan is a country I have never set foot in, yet I carry it with me everywhere I go. When people see me, they see the reflection of a place that has been shaped by conflict for longer than I have been alive. And in America, the country that took me as a political refugee at just 4 years old, I'm often reminded that I don't fully belong here either. To belong everywhere and nowhere is a reality I've learned to live with. I was born displaced, and in many ways, I remain displaced. I am a part of a generation that has known war as a constant backdrop, a war that predates me, my older sister, and many who still fight to see a peaceful South Sudan. Now, as tensions rise, explicit images and videos flood my screen, sparking debates and accusations. I lost my 2 family members in the conflict of 2013. To this day, we don't know where their bodies rest. My grief and frustration are heavy, but they are not for any one group of people. They are for a nation that has been divided and misled by leaders who thrive off our pain. Blaming entire tribes only deepens the wounds. It keeps us trapped in a cycle that benefits no one but those who manipulate our hurt. I refuse to contribute to that cycle. My anger is towards the leaders who have neglected their duty to protect us, the ones who use division to maintain power while we pay the price. I understand the pain and anger of my people, both in the diaspora and at home. I understand the urge to make sense of the chaos, to name a culprit. But if we continue to turn against each other, we only strengthen the grip of those who benefit from our suffering. To my fellow South Sudanese, wherever you are, I hope we can see each other beyond the lines that were drawn to divide us. Our shared pain and our shared desire for peace are stronger than the forces that try to keep us apart. We are more than what has been done to us. I may be from a home I have never known, but I still believe in a future where South Sudan can be a home for all of us, not just a memory of what could have been. So,
That's beautiful.
I know.
Said it all.
Yeah, it was just very like she just encompassed everything that I feel like I couldn't have said it better than that. But
This episode is actually going to be dedicated to a few South Sudanese community members who have tragically lost their lives within the last few weeks here.
so we wanted to go ahead and give this episode an honor to Dominic Phillip and Samuel Aro, who have both lost their lives to gun violence. Dominic actually lost his life in Utah and Samuel in Kansas City. And it was actually back to back, which is very unusual. I don't think there's ever been a time where we've seen like tragedies happen in the same manner back to back. Dominic was killed. I don't want to get into the details because they're still investigating. But he was killed, I think, in someone's home in Utah. And then Samuel was actually murdered in his place of business. And so we wanted to honor them and also discuss the issues of gun violence here in America.
Vaida is actually from Kansas City. I know there was 2 other community members who lost their lives recently in Kansas City.
Jessica Akot, she was in a coma and she passed away this past month, and so did Hillary Lucati. So they all both have GoFundMe's that I'm sure like the ladies will link so you guys can support the families that are going through this time. Kansas City is just like 3 deaths in the month of March, which is just a lot, and three people that were a big part of the community, people that I've seen around growing up. So it's just it's a very fragile time, I would say, for Kansas City, but we're just praying for the families and like as well as the people that knew them dear, and y'all can definitely support them as well. So
Yeah, and I know Samuel, he had a successful business. Everything that I've been seeing online about him is that he was the nicest person ever, just an amazing guy. Great loss to the community for sure.
Yeah, and Dominic played for the South Sudanese national team, and so that was a huge loss, a huge talent, and he was a brother, a cousin, and the family is Willie. Sorry, y'all, we forgot to bring in Willie. Willie is actually his cousin, and he's actually in Utah right now for his memorial and his funeral. And so it's just really difficult. It's like it's so close to home. Somebody knows somebody, like even if we don't know them personally, somebody that we know knows these people.
Yeah.
Also, KK knows Dominic personally. And so we want to give you the floor to kind of honor him and tell us a bit about his personality, who he was.
Well, rest easy, Dominic. I've known Dominic since they moved to America. When they moved to America, we were all living in the same complex. Known him since he was a little kid. Dominic, biggest smile in the room. He will always make people laugh. I went to high school with him, and I watched him develop into the athlete that he wanted to be, from him being a freshman in high school, just trying to touch the rim, to being the high flyer that he is. His nickname was Air Sudan. If you don't believe it, go check out his IG, and the guy can fly.
Okay.
So, he's a great guy, always kind, always pleasant, always says hello, respectful. Also a friend. Like I said, I've known him for almost 20 plus years, and it's just tragic what happened. And just praying for the family, praying for his siblings and his mom and dad, just helping them stay strong. GoFundMe's are out there for everybody. I think gun violence is going to be a big tragedy in our community here, especially in the States. So please, please, to the younger generation, stay away from guns if you can. That's all I got.
Yeah, for sure. Gun violence is definitely a prevalent issue, especially when you mix alcohol into it. And it's just very unfortunate that we've lost two very capable people in our community that have contributed so much, and it's a very great loss to our community. So we're all in mourning, and I think it's just really good if we have a moment of silence for all of the lives lost on the podcast. So I think we'll do that now.
Yeah.
Rest in peace to Dominic and Samuel and Uncle Hillary
And Jessica.
and Auntie Jessica as well. We are all keeping your family in our thoughts and prayers as we move forward. And if we can ask the community to kind of surround the families during this time, as is our culture and as we do. And if you have it in your heart to donate, we will have their GoFundMes linked in the description box below.
Yes, absolutely. So that is the conversation for today. We just wanted to kind of touch on current events in the South Sudanese community, whether it's back home or here in the diaspora. Unfortunately, it's not positive events, but I think these are really important issues that we need to dive into,
Right.
especially when they affect people's lives. And so
If you do want to, we've had family members reach out to us regarding wanting to have a conversation around gun violence. So if you are interested in becoming a part of that conversation or joining the podcast, we do invite you to reach out to us through our email. Everything will be in the description box below. I think that this is a conversation that we do need to have at this point.
Yes. So
Yeah.
big prayers to our community back home and here. Also for people back home, we're also going through stuff here. I know sometimes America can come off like it's so glamorous and nice and we're living a good life, but we're also dealing with a lot of issues here, just like Christine said, gun violence and alcoholism. So not everything that's, looks bright is. And so, just pray for us here as well. We'll be praying for our people back home. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching this episode of Ladies of Sosa. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And we love you guys. See you in the next episode.